Welcome back to Alex Tools. I'm Tom. So check out these cool Toolmaker squares. In this video we're going to do a full restoration on these and regrind them and fix them up and make them good as new. And also at the end of the video, this is an opportunity for you guys, the viewers out there, to actually possess these squares. So we're going to auction them off at the end. And there'll be some instructions if you're interested in supporting the channel and maybe owning one of both of these little Toolmaker squares. So let's check it out. Here are a couple of Toolmaker squares that of kind of unique design that I picked up on eBay. These are kind of listed in a funny way, which is pretty much how you get a deal these days on eBay. And I can't recall quite how it was listed, but these are kind of a unique construction that's kind of worth noting and showing you guys. This one, I've seen this style before. In fact, a friend of mine at UC Berkeley has one like this. That's whoever, and I can't remember the guy's name that made it. He told me he had lapped everything, so it's basically like a #2 finish, lapped finish on everything, and it's of a similar design as this. So this has a square cross section here that's been relieved with a ball end mill to leave these smaller edges. So if you want to do a little tool making project, this is kind of this is a pretty good one to do. Pretty controllable, no tricky grinding trying to get up in here and all that. So you can grind this separate from this, and it's got a 90-degree V-notch in there. And this is attached with screws, okay? Now, we're gonna test these just to see how square they are for fun. And then we're gonna take them apart so you guys can see the guts of these things, which is kind of interesting. So, and it's got a nice little cutout here for your hand and all that, and it's kind of a handy size, right? So why he's got a center in that is not clear to me. So, but not in that end. So yeah, we'll see how they attach that. It's got 2 screws if it was shimmed or just ground really carefully to get the perpendicularity here. Or what. So we'll check that out. And then here, this is kind of a neat one here. This is a knife edge here. It's got a very thin edge. It's not sharp. It's dull, and I would say that that's about a 10/1000 flat on that edge there. This one's also adjustable here with a couple of screws. So it's got a pivot point, and by adjusting these screws, you can kind of tweak this in. And I'll show you how we'll check for squareness and how we can actually dial this thing in and get it spot on. But we'll probably take it apart first. Now I cleaned these a little bit. They were pretty crispy when I got them, and so I did clean them up a little bit to make them presentable to you guys. Okay, so let's check out how we can check these for squareness. Or perpendicularity, and at least on the outer surfaces, on this one anyway, and then we'll take them apart. All right, here's our setup, and this is just something I had that had some convenient tapped holes in it. The little mini pallet would work. I wanted to use this magnetic indicator, so this one's steel. My other little mini pallets are aluminum. So what we got here is we have a straight surface, a parallel surface. This is easy enough to check on the surface plate just by interrogating the top. Compared to the surface plate, you can kind of look at that. And then if you mic this, then you can determine its straightness from that. So, and then I got a little stop here, and the idea here is that we have a stopping position so that our reference and the part under interrogation kind of stop at the same place. Now what I did was I have this is a Starrett Weber master square here, and so we're going to slide it along this parallel, come up to the stop, and we read 0 there, right? Okay, so and then we can prove it by flipping it 180. Okay. All right, so that's that. And then if you want to put a square up, so this is another style of a Toolmaker square here. This is a laminated version here. You can see the faint outlines of the rivets that connect this whole thing together. Let's see. So these edges are, you can't really put an indicator against those edges. I think this is tall enough. Yeah, okay. This is one of mine. Okay, pretty good. Looks like it's a couple of tenths light. Okay, do it a couple times. Yeah, it's just a skosh light. Okay, not bad. And then let's put one of these mystery squares up here. Now clearly I can adjust this. I have it set for this little one actually, so I don't have to reset it during the video. But we'll go ahead and check it at this point. Now you can see that one's off considerably, okay? At that point at least. Okay, but we think this one's adjustable, so maybe that's not a big deal, okay? So let's look at this little one here. And you see it's relieved on the bottom too, so we got limited places that and the other complication on this is this little pivot pin protrudes from this surface, so I had to find a spot where it went into a hole. There we go, right there. And then we'll slide it up. Okay, this one's a lot better. Looks like a little over 1 thou, 1.5 thou, something like that. Yeah, 1.5. But once again, this one's adjustable, and we can tweak that one. So just to verify, we'll put our reference back on just to check, make sure nothing drifted. Okay. All right. So let's set this aside and let's get some tools out, and let's bust these down and see what's inside. Let's do this one first here. So I'm just gonna. Oh, okay. Looks like I gotta get a little. That one's going. Feels like there might be some goop on the threads. No, I think it's just corrosion. It smells old. So maybe we can get this one now that we got the first one out. Oh, geez. All right, plan B. I don't want to twist the tip of that off. It's pretty far down there, so I'm going to have to get, I don't know, get something studly to get down there. Yeah, I went over to look for something to go down in there. So the head's about, you can see where the head is. It's that far down, right? So an L wrench won't fit down there, right? And then if you just use a straight Allen, that's this diameter, it winds up, and you lose a lot of your torque in the torsion of the thing. So if you were going to design a tool to go down there, this is probably what it would look like. So large hex tank, and then it's reduced for a short distance into the size that you need, right? And, oops, is that the size that I need? Did I grab the wrong one? I gotta open my big mouth here, and I think I grabbed the wrong one. Yeah, I did grab the wrong one. So, as I was saying, large hex, and then it's reduced down to the business end here to fit what you want, right? And it looks like somebody put some gronk on that and wound it up a little bit, and you see the shiny on there from the high force. So this is why I buy stuff at the flea market that looks interesting, right? So I probably walked by a pile of stuff and saw this and went, oh yeah, that's nice, and paid a couple of bucks for it and threw it in the drawer, and I would say that this is the first time that I've used this, pretty much guaranteed, but there it is. It did the job. And now the tool bug in me says, gee, I should have a full set of those. That's what the tool bug says. Okay, another, oh yeah, see, so there's corrosion on there. Yeah, it's nasty. Actually, I could smell it. It stinks. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, well, those are just tapped in there. I don't see any magic going on there. And maybe our alignment problem is because it's got some rust and corrosion and crud in there. Okay, so it looks like they put a little flat on that so that they could get the tap drill started. Huh, interesting. Is there something down there? The holes are tapped to a different depth. No, there's nothing in there. Doesn't really make any sense. You'd have to make your adjustments here. That's pretty sharp. This comes to a sharp edge. All right, well, we'll clean it up, and then we'll put it back together carefully and see if whoever made this back in the day did a good job, and then maybe. So clearly, it's easier to regrind this one than this whole thing, and you want this all parallel anyway, right? So this is really the business end here that you got to get right. So, okay, so there's that one. Let's I'll get some tools together to get this one apart, and then we'll take that one apart too and see what it looks like. I think I got everything I need here. Let's see about this thing here. Let's loosen these up to start with. Okay, not too tight. Actually, I think I'm going to take them all the way out. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, I thought it had a shim on it. So you can see that this got wet or something at some point. There's a little corrosion on that screw. We'll clean all that up, make it nice. This, you know, the styling of this is kind of neat. I love how this is kind of this crown molding look here. I probably would have knocked some chamfers on these corners. They're just a little, you know, this is an area that you're holding on to, so I would probably do that. Actually, I may just do that anyway, just for my own fun. These are Philister head screws, which are a little different. Predecessor to socket head cap screws in broad use. Everything used to be slotted back in the day. All right. So actually, this pin looks a little suspicious here. Is that my imagination, or is that thing? Oh yeah. Okay, so this looks like it's a taper pin, which is kind of. I guess that's. Well, if they did it as an assembly, that's probably a reasonable way to do that. Usually, these taper pins are nice if that's what this is, which I think it is. I'm gonna put a little bit of tape on this thing just to protect the surface of this thing. I think I want to use that hole there. Let's see, what's the big end? That's the big end. All right, let's give it a little Dinkus McGee here. Oh, okay, it's moving. There it goes. That wasn't too bad. Yep, okay, so I was right. So that's a taper pin. And it's still pretty tight. All right, I might have to resort to some. Let's give it let's give it a little, you know what, that's not the right tool. Let me find something, I want to give it a little push with that. Actually, you know what, I could use these, this would work. And maybe I can just pop it loose. So the screws work against one another when the thing's assembled. But in this case, we're going to use them as pushers. I think is what we're going to do. Come on. What's going on? Okay. I think the screwdriver is just barely the right size. This is a gunsmithing screwdriver, and I'm trying to remember who sent these to me. It might have been Don Cossett. Yeah, that's working. And they're kind of hollow ground, so the sides are parallel. And the reason they do that is so that it doesn't cam out of the, you know, you got a blued screw on a firearm or something like that, and you really don't want to bugger up the screws because it just stands out. Oh yeah, that's pushing that. But man, this guy fitted this up pretty tight, so I might have to do some additional screwing around here. All right, let me pop that loose, and then we'll look at all the bits and pieces here and see what we're going to do to clean it up. So this is apart now, and so what was making it stick here is it's got some corrosion on in that interface there that we got to get rid of and kind of clean off. So this one's pretty easy to clean here. This is a little harder, that slot, so I think what I'm going to do here is I have a piece of brass flat that'll fit in there, and this is, let's see if I'm going the right way here. This is adhesive backed abrasive paper, which is kind of handy. I've been finding all kinds of fun uses for it. Trim that off. Oops. Come on, Mr. Bozo. So now I have a basically a abrasive stick that I can get in there and kind of clean the crud off of that surface there, inside there. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this thing yet. I mean, I bought it on kind of a whim off eBay, you know, because it was, I don't know, God, it was dirt cheap. Somebody got it with a bunch of other things, and they didn't, yeah, see all this stuff. They didn't want it, so it's like $20 or something, you know, it was $8 for shipping or something stupid like that, right? But it's kind of, you know, some old dude, present company included, you know, spent a bunch of time making this thing, right? I mean, it's hard, it's a lot of work. I mean, that's a bunch of shaper work to do that flat knurling like that, right? So I think what we'll do is we'll give this I call it a functional restoration, right? We'll make it look nice, reasonably nice, and that it's usable and accurate, and then we'll let somebody else get their hands on it and enjoy it. All right, that's looking pretty good in there. Let's see if this fits any better now. Oh yeah, it goes right in now. So yeah, I don't want it too loose, right? So I don't want to surface grind this, for example. And then I was looking at it, and I don't know if you can catch it in the light, but it looks like it was jeweled too, where you take an abrasive stick and you make circular swirls and you overlap them in a particular pattern. And but it was very faint. I can just barely see it. I don't know if we're going to do that, so maybe this will work for this too. That works pretty good. Okay, all right. Let me spruce that up a little bit, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with the rest of this. So this is a gauge pin that fits that radius. I'm just going to stick a little abrasive paper on that. See if we can. Might need a smaller one. Custom sanding drum, any diameter. Looks like it's getting. Yeah, I'm just, just doing some light cleanup on this. Make it presentable. Any corrosion or yeah. Oh yeah. I was thinking about how this guy did this, right? You got a straight and then an angle, right? So the old school in the manual days, right? You can't do that in one shot, right? So you got to come in and then you got to set it at an angle and travel at that. And it's to get a good blend, you got to have a good pickup. And we can see here that he had a pretty good pickup, or she, or whatever. I don't know who made this, but there's just a little blivet there. And which makes me smile because I probably would have done the same thing, right? Milling along this line, stopping, and then turning the part, and then milling up to that, and having those two intersect perfectly. All you CNC jockeys out there, you can just profile around this, and it's perfect, right? So back in the olden days, we didn't have that. You couldn't do that. So there. It's easier now. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do, the more I look at this, it's got some pits and some things in it that are going to be a challenge to get out. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glass bead this thing, and that'll clean all this knurling out. And then after I glass bead the whole thing, what I'll do is I'll go back and lap or polish these flat surfaces again. And the restoration is always a really hard thing, right? You can go crazy and make it better than it was, right? But some of these little dings and edges and things like that, like there's I don't know if you guys can quite see that, but when whoever made this milled this pocket out, there's some kind of end mill tracks where something wasn't quite flat or whatever, and it started to dig in this corner a little bit, right? And to me, this is, sure, you could go back in there if you want and mill that out nice and flat and do all that, but you're kind of removing the spirit from the tool, right? And this might have been an apprentice project for somebody while they were learning, and you kind of destroy that history, right? So it's always this kind of touchy thing, right? So if you use the Smithsonian, right, they want it just the way it was with the scratch marks in it and the tape residue on the thing or whatever, and they just want to clean dirt off. And so I understand that too, right? So I always struggle with that, how far do you go with the thing, right? And I certainly want it fully functional and still have the spirit of the maker there without any rust or anything that impedes its action or accuracy, right? That's kind of my philosophy, I guess. I don't know if it's any good, but that's my philosophy. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to glass bead this sucker, and then what I'll do, I think I'm going to come back and I'll polish this flat because it's actually pretty nice. He did a really nice job on that, getting that nice and even and everything. And then we'll polish that. So this will be a satin, and this will be polished, and then you'll be satin down in the bottom of the knurl, and then this crown molding here or whatever will be satin, but it'll be polished. So we'll have some contrast, but most of it will be pretty original. Then I'll repaint the bottom, maybe a different color. Okay, so to me that kind of fits. Besides, I don't want to spend a million hours on this because this is not my project. So it's just a fun distraction. So he's cleaned up really nice with the glass bead. At this point, I think I'm going to go ahead and repaint these recesses here, and then I can focus on lapping and or regrinding the areas that need to be reground. So I'm going to use this. This is from Rapco Parts. This is Seafoam Green, which to give you an idea what that looks like, is like that. And those of you guys that were in the military might recognize this color as the inside color of armored personnel carriers, I think, is where they use this, and inside tanks and stuff like that. It's kind of a light green. It reflects light. It's kind of a pleasant, mellow green. Shake this up a little bit. I'll do a little masking, and then I'm just going to paint these and get a couple coats on those, and then we'll go ahead and get into the lapping of these to get them nice looking for reassembly. I'm not going to be super fussy because a lot of this is, just going to come off, and any overspray or whatever is going to kind of come off in the lapping process. So I'm just minimizing it a little bit. So. See how that green paint came out? Yeah, it needs a fresh grind now, so you guys will like this. Remote control coolant. Oops. Guess I gotta point it at the thing. There it goes. And we'll run across without any down feed. Make sure nothing weird there. We're just doing a couple of really light passes to get rid of any staining that was present, and actually true up these sides a little bit. They were a little wonky, they weren't parallel. fact, I don't think it's cutting on this back corner here. Alright. Pretty happy with that. Oh, pop. Oh, I bet you it's the that cavity that made that popping noise. Alright, clean that up and do the other part. I gotta make an adjustment there. The fence isn't catching it. Actually, I could put a instead. That didn't work. Plan B. That's better. I'm not up against the fence, but I got something that's pretty parallel. Okay. Okie dokie. I just want to clean up that end because it had some kind of corrosion or whatever. Alright, that looks a lot better. I think I want to put a little bit of corrosion preventative something in there in that joint. Let's use a little. This is this corrosion X. I'm just going to wipe it on those surfaces and then wipe it off. You know, just to put a little something in there. That's not an area that you're going to inspect at any interval. So at least to put a little goodwill in there. All right, and then I get the fasteners, so let's go ahead and put this little guy together here. Geez, I got this stuff everywhere now. All right, I don't think it matters which way this goes. We still have to test it for squareness and see if there's a little ding I didn't, You know, so that's all, you know, this is a part of its patina here, I suppose. You know, I could have went after that and dug down deeper with the grinder, but, you know, you gotta make a decision at some point. Okay, I think what I want to do, okay, those are not tight. I want to flush this up. I want to go put it on the surface plate and flush that up nicely on the surface plate and then snug those fasteners. But that's certainly looking pretty good on a rehab. So let me go do that, and then we'll take one last look at that one. Okay, there's a little kiss. Some juice going. I'm grinding it in the vise this time, or this particular part, because I want this face perpendicular to that face. So once we clean this face up, we'll rotate it 90 degrees the vise without unclamping it, and then grind that face, and then we can make the other side parallel to that. All right, let's come down a couple of tenths. Go back. I just want just a bare cleanup on that. I'm going to take too much off of it. Now I'm clamping it on those knurled faces, which is, I would say, kind of suboptimal from a datum standpoint, but it'll be fine for this. You can't see it there. All right, still needs a little bit. Pretty good. Okay, so we're just going to do a simple flip here. Like so. A daisy here. We're going to knock some chamfers on these kind of sharp corners here. I decided I'm going to go ahead and do that. And to do that, we're just going to drop these in to a magnetic V-block here, like so. And make sure I'm snug. And then we're just going to go and kiss these corners till we get a little flat on them. I'm just going to traverse all the way across just so I don't put a groove in the wheel. And we'll stop the reciprocation and take a look at it here in a sec. More than that. And a couple more. hard to see what it is. Yeah, that's pretty good. Actually, with this, I can just take it out, huh? Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and flip it around and do all the sides here. That one's looking pretty good. So this looks pretty nice now. We got a nice grind on the bottom, repainted in there. Okay, put a little chamfering on there. Now here's my latest. Now the next problem. So this is what I was talking about earlier. When you start restoring something, right? You know, you want to do just some cleanup or whatever. It starts turning into a a project. How do you like that? So I'm not liking the look of this this bevel. Now that's a tricky to grind. Although not a little bit tricky to grind, I should say. What I'd really like to do is take a whisker off of that. I don't think I want to take any off of this surface here because this fits this slot pretty well. I don't want to monkey with that, I don't think, and end up with a, I don't know, let me think out loud there a little bit. I mean, that's the easiest way to get a good cleanup on that. How much would we have to take? That's the question, right? How much would we have to take? I mean, it fits pretty good now. I mean, it's going to be wedged up tight in there. Oh, God. This is agonizing. Well, see, it's a little loose there. But I guess it's got a lot of contact surface in there. Let's see, there's the hole. So it's right about there. It's all right. Yeah, it's got a little bit of wiggle now. I don't think I want to increase that wiggle. I wish I could hear what you guys are saying right now, because I'm wondering. Well, at the very least, I'm going to do the bevel, okay? I was fooling around a little bit and with some jeweling or engine turning here, okay? And you know, these are different spacings here. I kind of like that one the best. So that's an alternative. That was on this face originally. There was a faint remainder of that. So I could certainly go back and do that on here, and that doesn't really take anything off and gives it back to kind of original use, but I still have to grind that. So I think we're going to go ahead and do that. We're just going to kiss that, take a few tenths off each side of that, and cross our fingers and see how that goes. Okay, all right. See what happens. It turns into a project without trying too hard at all. All right. Well, the setup gods are after me today. This thing's a little bit weird. It's not straight. So if I indicate the angle and get that nice, and then I traverse this way, I get a little bit of a variation that way. At least on the thing I was trying to hold it in, which was a magnetic angle block. So it's actually turning into a little bit of a compound angle problem, which is kind of fun, for me at least. And so I'm going to use, this is the tilting mini pallet here. So I just put a fence on, and it's parallel with the machine travel. And then I'm going to clamp the part down here. And yeah, that'll be okay. Clamp the part down with some strap clamps here, 2 of them, just to hold it down. And then I'll indicate this angle this way, and then I'll indicate it this way. So, and I'm expecting to have to turn this table well, in two directions, which I can. So at least that's the theory. So let me get that going, and then we'll see what that looks like. All right, so it's less than half a thou. Rockety rock there. It's very gingerly. I'm going to have to grind that. So let's see how we're going to get up in there. So that would be interesting. Let's see if it come all the way off. Oh, chi-chi. Oh, that's the spike right there, man. All right, I think I want to move that one clamp. It's like right diggity dog there. So hopefully this doesn't monkey with my whole world here. That's kind of suboptimal. All right, I gotta get the indicator again and do some indicating there. Let's see if I donkeyed that. Well, that worked pretty good. I didn't have to take much off, so getting a good alignment makes it so you can take the minimum amount of material off. I think I'm going to call that good and flip it over and set up the other side. I'll show a little of the grinding on the other side. I'm close to the clamp, and then you can even see it here. I actually touched the aluminum plate here as I came off. So it's just right at the hairy edge of clearances and stuff. I probably should have set this closer to the edge. But that's whatever, right? Hindsight's 100%. So let me flip it over, and hopefully the alignment won't, well, I don't know, maybe it's mirrored, I don't know, but we'll flip it over and see how that looks alignment wise. So I got it flipped around here and realigned. Interestingly, this angle is subtly different than the other one. Not much, but it's certainly a different alignment. But I don't really care, because what I want to do is grind what's there, because I don't, this comes to a knife edge, and I don't really want to sharpen it anymore. Otherwise, I kind of, that's the hardest part, is that really fine edge, and I don't want to have to open that can of worms, so to speak, right? And all right, so let's check clearance. Okay, I got more room on this side this time, because I was at least thinking about it. And then all right, so what I need to do is bring it down and get close to the world there. Let's set the fine feed. All right, let's come off to where I want to be off. Double check. Yeah, okay. Hey, I got a good 1/4 of an inch behind there. How do you like that? That's pretty good. All right, let's make sure this isn't touching. Okay. Contact. And what I want to do is just fish this down until I get the touch off. Okay, I just saw it. Oop, there we go. Teeny bit. All right. Put some liquid love on. come off pretty far before I start getting close to the world there. Take a look. Yep. Okay. Down like 2/10. Yeah, so if you spend the time to do the alignment, then you really don't have much to take off, which is really nice. Especially in a situation like this where you got this really thin edge to worry about. Alright, I think I'm off. I think I'm going to do one more pass there. Couple tenths. The forces are really low with really light cutting like this. You know, you can. You know, your kind of clue is a bench grinder, right? You know, when you're grinding a tool bit or something like that, you can hold on to it and actually lean on it pretty good. Alright, let's back up. There we go. Getting a teeny spark all the way down. Kind of what I want to see. And I'm just hand feeding this. You just don't want to bash into something at speed on a tight little setup like this. This would actually, well, this grinder has more room than my other grinder for setups like this. That's kind of one nice thing. Okay, that's it. Okay, turn off the beep. Take a look at it. Before we unhook it. Yep, okay, looks pretty good. We're going to do this engine turning on this, I decided. We're just going to kind of put this back the way it was when the original maker did it. So we ground the bevel, that came out pretty good. So now I'm going to engine turn this area here, and I've got a kind of an exclusion zone where it's inside the block, so you won't see any of that, so I don't need to go over that. I just need to overlap that just slightly. So what I'm using, this is just a little holder made out of Delrin. This is a rubberized abrasive stick here. It's about 6 millimeters in diameter, 1/4 inch, and it's a rubber that's kind of impregnated with an abrasive all the way through it. So it's kind of, you know, use them for conformal sanding and things like that, but it also works really good for this, as you'll see here. And so basically we're just going to come down and touch, and then we'll move over, and then when we scoot this way, we'll offset a half a pattern and then continue on. So if I can keep track of it mentally, we should be fine. Now I taped off that edge. I was worried about you know, the pressure on the end of the rubber kind of mushrooming the end and then interfering with the bit that we already ground really nicely. I don't want to have to go back and regrind that, okay? So anyway. All right, we're running about 1200 RPM. See, make sure my DRO is where I want it. Yep, okay. So we're just going to come down and touch. There it is, okay. And then we're going to move over one diameter. Excuse me, half a diameter. Okay. pretty good. I don't know, I've never been a gigantic fan of engine turning myself, but it's certainly old-timey looking, and I think that'll look pretty cool. Or, well, it puts this back kind of where this thing belongs, so I think I'm going to tape that to protect it so I don't scratch it, and then we'll do the other side, and then we'll do assembly. All right, so we're almost ready for assembly. I'm going to go ahead and lap the bottom real quick, just to because I can. And this is a diamond impregnated lap here, and we're just going to give this a little quick bottom lap here. This thing will make short work out of this. Get a nice long wearing finish on the bottom there. Okay. One little corner that's not quite there yet. Okay. You know, when you got a good, good grind on the bottom, or good grind on a surface, if it's small, you can actually lap it fairly quickly. It doesn't take very long. Okay. If we got a full cleanup on that. Okay, I got some glop on the paint here, but that'll come off. All right, so now I'm gonna go for a higher finish than that, and I'll use this the Kemet lap that I'm testing. Let's go ahead and use that. This is a 3 micron. Put a little on there. Actually, that's a lot. Liquid Love. Pick some up. Normally, you would, from this one to a final finish, you would probably drop down a grit. You wouldn't quite go to that, but this is a small surface area, so I'm not super worried about it taking a long time to do its business there. And as you can see, we're cutting just fine here. All right, I think we got it. Look at that. Is that beautiful or what? Just what a gauge wants. We'll clean that up a little bit. Oh yeah. See, now here's the temptation. Oh, I'll just do these sides. But that's actually a lot of surface area there. You would want to go to an intermediate grit. All we really care about in this case is the surface that slides on the surface plate or whatever. Okay. All right, let me clean all this mess up, and then we'll do final assembly here. I'm just going to put a whisper of this on here. This is anti-seize here. Don't need much. Kind of on the starting threads there. That'll carry it in. Actually, let's go ahead and get those started, so I don't. I'm going to get the ends, get them going in there, so I don't cover myself with anti-seize. You know, one. Okay, there it's just starting to show. Okay, like that. And this is going to go in here. Oh, come on, get up in there. Get up in there, there we go. Like so. I'll just run these up until they touch. I don't want to influence the deal there. I think I'll just give this a little, you know what, I need to put this up on something. Oh, yeah, it's probably okay. Okay, so it's tight, but it still moves. And now all we got to do is calibrate it. Okay, those are both touching. Cool. That green paint. Although there's not much on this particular one. This one has got a lot more of the green paint on it. It still pops kind of nicely there. So, all right. Well, let's get the calibrator set up, and then we'll go from there. This was actually kind of fun because it was with the screws. It's actually really easy to adjust and get the tension that you want on the screws and get it perfectly square. So I'm just checking it against a master square here. So I'm going to slide this out. You'll see I got a light behind there, and what we're going to do is come out, and then we're going to close off the light there, and you guys get an idea there. I mean, I'm looking through the viewfinder here, so anyway, like I said, it was with this pivot and the two screws, it's easy to adjust this thing, and you adjust this one and you get a little tighter, then you tighten this one a little bit more to drive it back, and pretty easy to adjust. So a square like this, you probably want to check it every once in a while and make sure that it hasn't been bumped or moved or something changed or settled. And then the other one, we'll just put this up here for fun. Okay, looks pretty good too. It's a little different on the inside. I put the square up here. It's a little bit different, but this one's not adjustable. So this outside looks pretty good, or nearly perfect as far as I can see. So I'm just going to leave it alone. Okay. Anyway, once again, just so you guys can see. Weep. Pretty cool. All right, that's about it on these squares here. I think I'm going to do something a little different with these. I mentioned that I bought these on eBay for pretty cheap, but what I want to do is, kind of a twofold thing. So I want to put these in the hands of somebody that really wants them, and also give folks an opportunity to show their support for the channel. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a silent email bidding for these squares, these Toolmaker squares. So if you're interested in having these squares and supporting the channel, you can submit your bid via email as long as you have a PayPal account. And I'll ship these anywhere in the world. So priority mail in the United States is, less than $10. Overseas, it could be up to $30 or $35 for a small flat rate box. So throw your bid in. Highest bid wins. Preferably somebody that's willing to share their name and city on camera, so we can close the loop for the rest of the viewers. But here's your opportunity to show your support for the channel, hey, and get a really nice tool in exchange for that. So bidding will end on this date here. Okay, here's the email address to submit your bid, and just put in the title Toolmaker Squares. and submit your bid. And as long as you're ahead of this date, you're good to go. And I'll send a PayPal invoice to the winner. So good luck, and thanks for your support.